Hello and welcome to Judd is Pissed. Today we have a guest and his name is Wallee.
Hey guys, what's up?
Today we're going to go into something that is kind of a hot topic that nobody wants to touch, and if they do, they get canceled. We are going to talk about what's going on over in Israel. So, I am going to let Wallee take the reins at the very beginning here.
Okay, yeah. So I guess the one thing that I feel like really needs to be set in stone and made clear here is the depiction and the kind of equating of that Hamas equals the Palestinians as a whole, or that the Israel government equals the Jewish people as a whole. And it's really it's just been really upsetting to me to see the amount of anti-Muslim and anti-Jewish hate that has come out of this from any a decent portion of people who are talking about it. Obviously, you don't see it everywhere, but I've just seen a really unfortunate inability to kind of differentiate between the Hamas army and the Palestinian people and the Israel government and the Jewish people. You see all these casualties on both sides and a lot of innocent lives getting lost, and it's very unfortunate to see, and it really saddens me. But I think there just needs to be a clear understanding, here in America at least, of the people who have been talking about this, as if our opinion on it is law. But there just needs to be an understanding that the Muslim people as a whole and the Jewish people as a whole should not be equated with the atrocities that are being committed by either the Hamas army or the Israel government right now. And that's just kind of my take on as a general starting point when looking at this whole situation as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of look at it the same way as like when the U.S. government goes and like kills kids and blows up hospitals. I don't
Hmm.
associate with that at all. I'm not a part of that at
Hmm.
all. I'm
Yep.
as a as an American citizen. I don't
Hmm.
associate with that. That's not me. That doesn't represent me. And that's the same thing with these, with these citizens that aren't a part of this. They need to be looked at as just people.
Hmm.
They don't need to be looked at and then incorporated into this whole. It's kind of like the deal where, as like, we've always done that with war, right? We've always done that with people. Like if it's the Soviet Union, everybody's part of the Soviet Union. If it's even like the Iraq, everybody
Hmm.
in Iraq is bad, and we need to really disassociate um the people and the cause of war, and that's a big
Exactly.
issue.
As well
Yeah.
as
Uh
combatants and citizens is a big differential
yep.
point that needs to be looked at, you know. And even like the combatants and the people controlling the combatants, because that's even a whole other disconnected step. There's so much
Yep.
like there's so much more nuance here, and to simply say like, oh, screw all Muslim people, or oh, screw all Jewish people, eh, it's just unfortunate.
It is. No, it really is. And I think it just needs to come down to more of like a human the human nurture side of things, where we just need to see people as people when they're not on the wrong side. They're unfortunately there where there are
Hmm.
where the Hamas is in Gaza, and there's people there that aren't part of that. I just watched a documentary on Netflix, and it showed back in 2014 when there was war going on there, and this kid talked about how his father's farm was blown up and taken down 11 times, and they don't have
Hmm.
enough money to start it again. And there was another boy, and they weren't apart. His dad owned a pop can company where they would sell pop, and that got blown up. And then after that got blown up, him and his brother were trying to survive, and he watched and witnessed his brother getting blown into pieces. And he said the biggest chunk that was left of him was this big, and it's just disgusting. And it really makes you feel sick when you see that and you hear that, and the fact that it's a very blanket statement, very black and white of they're all like this. It's not the case. It's not the
Hmm.
case with really any time period. There's no time period where
Exactly.
everybody is what the leadership is doing.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's an interesting point. Um, I don't know how much you want to go into this, or you know, it it's just it's so interesting that there's such a, and I'm not going to go into one side or the other, because there's been a lot of atrocities committed all around, and that's a whole issue, that's been dating back for thousands of years, that is just, I'm not going to get into the more complexity of this, but it's just very interesting to see this, with America only really having Israel as their only, ally in the Middle East, how there's this very immediate jump on to, we stand with Israel no matter what they do, and I think there needs to be this understanding that there have been certain things done from the government's end that, should be condemned as much as the Hamas people. There are certain atrocities that have been committed across the board, um,
Yep.
and I feel like looking at it as particularly one is good or one is bad, and there's just this like no way to say about more nuances, is there's just citizens that are caught in the middle of this, that are trying to live and not trying to hurt anyone else. There was this interesting thing that I don't know if you saw this, where Justin Bieber posted a picture of and you're gonna find this funny, of this kind of like, I don't remember if it was like destroyed ruins, or if it was like just wreckage, or just in general stuff like that, and it was like praying for the Israel people right now. My heart goes out to them, and someone pointed out, hey, that's actually a picture of Palestinian wreckage. And all he did was delete the post and not mention anything about it. So the thing is no matter which side you agree with, or what have you, there needs to be an understanding that in war there's lives lost that are innocent no matter what, and you need to
Yep.
condemn when it's a purposeful killing of innocent life. Obviously in war,
Yep.
innocent life dies, and that's unfortunate and disgusting, but you need to understand that both sides have done certain actions that were purposefully targeting innocent people,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and you can't just sit there and not recognize one side but recognize the other.
No, exactly. I seen it on. We were watching live coverage. Hulu had
Mm-hmm.
a segment. It was like the 2020. I think it's like ABC 2020 or something like that, and it showed what was going on. And so what you have is you have the Hamas going and killing innocent kids, stealing
Mm-hmm.
people from there and kidnapping them and bringing them back to Gaza, and that's fucking disgusting. And then you see on the news too. So a reporter asked, I don't know, it was a high tier person in Israel, and they asked, so you're gonna go and bomb Gaza? And they're like, yes. And the reporter said, are you worried about killing citizens that are not part of this? And
Mm-hmm.
what he said is, it's those citizens dying is not gonna outweigh killing the people from Hamas. And so basically, and that's the fucked up understanding with like
Mm-hmm.
war, with what countries do is, let's just not fucking have war unless it's like
Yeah.
absolutely provoked. But like, it's always this discussion of, well, we did more good than evil. Well, you still fucking killed kids. You still fucking killed
Right.
human beings that had nothing to do with it. Just wanted to live a quiet,
Mm-hmm.
gentle, free life, and
Mm-hmm.
you fucking killed them.
Yeah. Well, and then you see stuff like the 24-hour notice for all civilians to leave Gaza and go to, southern Gaza, and then an explosive gets dropped on one of the main parts. Like, I think, gosh, what was it? It was killing 70 people that were trying to do the orders that they asked them to do and relocate so that they could go into Gaza. And it's just, and I want to be clear here. I do not, stand by what Hamas has done, because they've been doing disgusting
Mm-mm.
things as well.
Absolutely
At least from what I
disgusting.
can, at least from what I can tell, they're basically the equivalent of ISIS in Gaza in a way, right? And so what they're doing, yes, it's disgusting. It's you can't you can't condone it,
No,
but you
can't
also
justify it.
can't you also can't turn a blind eye to what's going on the other side, and the fact that there are innocent Palestinians dying as well as innocent Israel people dying. Like it's just
Exactly.
it's not one way or the other, you know.
Anytime an innocent person dies because of war, I don't care what
Mhm.
fucking side you are,
Mhm.
you killed someone that did not want to be part of this war.
Mhm.
And that's so cruel. It's so fucked up, dude. Like
Yeah.
they don't
It is.
deserve that.
It's um I don't know, once again, feel free to cut this part out, but if a war happens, if a draft happens, we've talked about this, and I'll go on record on your channel saying this. If a draft happens, I will not be a part of it. I'm signed up for the draft because I legally have to in the US, but I will not go. I will do whatever, literally whatever it takes to stay by the people I care about rather than going and killing other people who didn't want to come and kill me. You know, I'm not going to
Yep.
go and kill
Yep.
other people who just wanted to stay with their significant others when that's all I wanted to do. And so
Yep.
and especially if I have kids by that point in time, fuck that.
Yep.
And I'll
Yep.
go on record saying that I will dodge the draft if it comes. I don't give a shit, whatever it takes.
I agree with that statement. The fucked up thing about the draft is you have no choice. You're legally obligated to, or else you get fined $250,000 and go to prison.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so back in the day, I believe it was Vietnam, Muhammad Ali said, "Fuck this. I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
to war." And he got sent to prison, and he got a bunch of his fucking trophies taken away and his titles taken away because of it, and never got them given back. Yes. And that's
That's
a fucked
disgusting.
up part of American history. It's absolutely disgusting. And
We should
people are
we should
always,
abolish the draft. It's so
yeah,
gross.
nope, we should. And people are always like, "Oh, well these people that go and they fucking beat the shit at each other and boxers, they're fucking terrible people, blah blah blah. They're just doing, beating people for money." Muhammad Ali didn't want to go kill anybody and
He went
got
to prison and lost
reprimanded for
trophies
it.
for it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Arguably, if not the best and the greatest boxer of all time. And America treated him like shit. Because, like, that's the thing is, like, when America's, like, all fine about, like, the clown shows of, like, oh, NFL, boxing, blah, blah, blah. Well, watch
Mm-hmm.
this. Don't watch us getting into wars. And then as soon as a draft happens or something serious like that, all of a sudden, they're like, cut the shit. No, it's done. You're going to fucking war. We're cutting the shit right
Mm-hmm.
here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck if you're a boxer. I don't give a fuck if you're anything. I don't care what the fuck you like. You don't want to go to war? I don't care. We're sending you. And if you don't want to go, you can go rot in a fucking prison cell. And it's so fucked. It's
Yeah.
so out of touch with the way a lot of people feel nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
whole movement with like the 60s hippies where they're anti-war.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's just
feel
everyone
like
now.
that kind of dude, yes. And that's kind of like, and that's our grandparents were back in that age.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's kind of becoming now. Of like,
Mm-hmm.
people are like, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we
Yeah.
having war? Like, what, why, when we have what we have in America, why are we starting wars in countries that are underdeveloped or just wars in countries at all? Why are we funding
Mm-hmm.
them? Like, why aren't we putting our tax dollars to help those people? Help them. Like, our help is like, oh, we'll help them with the war. We'll start
Yeah.
it because we can make money off it.
I
Why don't we help them and help our own people?
mm-hmm. I remember our grandfather that recently passed, who fought in Vietnam. We like I remember he told me something, and I was pretty young and I don't think I really understood it at the time, but he like I kind of I asked him about like war, and he didn't really want to talk about it. And he just kind of sighed and was just like, the last war we should have ever been a part of was World War II. And that's all he said about it. The last justified war for the US was World War II. And like I mean, you look at what we were involved with between Vietnam and the whole going to the Middle East, back in shit, I don't even remember when that was, but it was pretty recently, obviously, like Desert Storm and all that stuff.
Yep.
It's
Iraq
still
during
fucking
Bush.
accurate. Yeah, it's still fucking accurate, and it's just like, and that was a Vietnam veteran saying that, and it's just
No,
I don't know. I'm
it's
anti-war. I'll go on the
disgusting.
record. I'll die on that hill. I'll die on an anti-war
Yep.
hill.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yeah. That's the fucked up part is back then, like back when Vietnam and before that, the government was still fairly new to the point where if we were going to war, like it was to help save the world. Like World War II specifically was very much like we have to kill Hitler and save the world. And there's a reason to go to that. Or like Vietnam, like you go from World War II to Vietnam, and Vietnam, they had the false flag where we fucking bombed our own ship, and they're like, what's next? Our American people? We need to go. And then they fucking sent people out there, and it started to all kind of fall apart where now the government doesn't care about the American people. And so people are like, well, why the fuck am I going to fight for someone that's just going to sit in the office and watch us on fucking drone footage?
Yep. See,
Like,
that's
they're
the
not going to
thing
be out
is
there.
exactly. And they did so well with only getting involved in like pretty just stuff, early on, like in terms of like, I mean, like not obviously everything, obviously. But in terms of like how they were able to like, okay, well, we need to get involved in this because Hitler, or we need to get involved in this because,
Of slavery,
we need to make
Revolutionary
we
War,
need to make sure slavery doesn't happen. Exactly. So
which wasn't the
it's
main purpose, but they
well,
kind of used that
yeah,
as a
exactly.
forefront
It was
afterwards.
right. Well, that's the thing. And I mean, let's be honest, that's what it was about when it comes down to it, And so, but it's just like it when you get past that, and like if you want to go into the whole like, you know, um Russia versus US, and well, what if we didn't stop their influence in other places? And it's like, dude, we really didn't. I mean, there's still so much fucking like Russian bots on everywhere you fucking look.
Like I was telling you about. Like, there's
Yeah,
like 20 out of 22 Christian Facebook sites were run by Russian troll farms.
exactly. So it's not like we really fucking did much. We just lost a shit ton of innocent people and bombed a shit ton of innocent people. If you're looking at the Middle East stuff, like it's just I don't know. It's
And
it's
that's
one
what
of
we did
those.
to Japan, too. When you think about it. Nagasaki and
Mhm.
Hiroshima, or Hiroshima,
Oh
however
yeah.
you want to
Oh
pronounce it. Like, fuck, dude. It was like 100,000 in just Hiroshima.
yeah. If you look, I'll have to show you a really interesting documentary, but there's a lot more stuff coming out now that's like basically like we might not have needed to drop for sure the second bomb and possibly even the first bomb, giving the state of the military at that point, and giving how if you look at Japanese like if you look at the emperor's diaries, and you look at all that during the time, there was such a apathy towards their people getting bombed. It was more of a, they really didn't care that much about those cities going, you know and it's just to think about, like, if we could have even just spared the second city. I don't know. It's just a crazy thing to think about.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to end it right there. It's just, war is disgusting. War
Yeah.
is never good. War is always bad, and innocent people will always die. And that's honestly how I feel about it.
Hmm.
Thank you for joining me on this episode.
Of
Really
course. Thank you
enjoyed
for
it.
having me, man.
Yeah, and I hope you guys enjoy.